Wow. Just wow. Something absolutely insane just happened in gaming. Something unprecedented. Something that will go down as historic. And something that is one of the biggest falls from grace I've ever seen. It's important enough to talk about, no matter the channel, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, we all should be discussing Cyberpunk 2077 no longer being available for sale from Sony. And we also have to talk about, would this happen to Animal Crossing, Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda? What would Nintendo do if this was the case with one of their games? What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. My mind is blown, so smash that like button and let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this. No game of this stature has ever seen this big of a rise and a fall. I mean, this is absolutely monumental. Today, Sony pulled the game from PlayStation Network, and they said they'll offer refunds to anyone that purchased. Think about how big that would be. This is the equivalent of Nintendo saying, hey, everyone that picked up Animal Crossing New Horizons, you can get a refund. The game is that buggy. It's basically unplayable on the OG Switch. Works a little better on the Switch Lite, works a little bit better on the Switch V2. Unplayable. So buggy, such a mess, so unrepresentative of what they wanted the final product to be, what gamers deserve the final product to be. We're no longer going to sell it on the eShop. This is the equivalent. And it's an escalation of yesterday's move where CD Projekt Red apologized, admitted they should have spent more time, because basically what's going on, if you haven't been following, is that Cyberpunk does not run well at all on PS4 and Xbox One, the base models. It runs pretty good on PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, and it runs nicely on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and it runs great if you have a good enough PC. But most players picked up and pre-ordered this game on PS4 and Xbox One, and they weren't told, and they weren't really shown. And reviewers were specifically kept in the dark in order to make sure that nobody realized that this game was a broken mess on those base consoles. Now we're moving towards a new era, we're moving towards next gen. Games should probably focus on the future. But this game was always due for PS4 and Xbox One, and it just doesn't cut it. So CD Projekt Red came out and said, we're sorry, get a refund, contact Sony and Microsoft. Well, that's easier said than done because Sony's policy does not allow for refunds once you've downloaded the game. That's in their terms of service. You cannot get a refund after you download. Before you download, you can, up to 14 days. But CD Projekt Red telling people to go to Sony, and then they said, oh, you could also email us. That is a massive amount of chaos for how many people are probably going to get a refund and how many people are pissed off because this game had so much faith and love. Again, you got to compare this to like Animal Crossing New Horizons. So much anticipation, such a crazy, devoted fan base that was so excited for almost 8 years for this game. And then they buy it, they spend their hard-earned cash in a year where money's extra tight, and it sucked. Like, we're talking about a game that got 8s and 9s if it ran well, and then sites are giving it 3s and 4s for how poorly it performs. Pulled. I've never seen anything like it. This isn't an indie game. This isn't like a one-man team that just put out a product that the platform holder doesn't feel comfortable with. This is the biggest release of the decade. The biggest release of this console generation, my friends, is Cyberpunk 2077. 8 million pre-orders, and they just pulled it from Sony's stores. Will Microsoft do the same? I don't know. But if they do, and even if they don't, this is one of the most colossal failures in video game history. We look at a game like No Man's Sky that had huge promise. You ever played that? Came out a while back. Since then, they've made the game fantastic. They've upgraded it and made so many nice additions and updates. But when it started, it was not what Hello Games was selling. They showed trailers that looked gorgeous and fun and diverse, and then the game was poop. They didn't pull it. This is a bigger deal, and CD Projekt Red is probably panicking, and I feel for them, because they gotta be like, what do we do? Do we acknowledge and apologize and then issue refunds? Do we try to just work hard on fixing it? Do we act like nothing's wrong and just maintain confidence? Do we apologize and... What do they do? There's no great path forward. They have burned a lot of their good faith, and they had so much. The Witcher, The Witcher 2, The Witcher 3, Gwent, all of that stuff was great. Thronebreaker, they were unfallible. And now they've really got themselves in a sticky situation. Imagine if this was Nintendo, right? Animal Crossing New Horizons comes out, it has so many bugs. Would you want a refund? Now, Nintendo, thankfully, it wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't. And you say, Zach, well, a game could come out and be buggy. You never know. You can't predict it. Nintendo is obsessive about their quality. They delay games until they're ready. They're one of the people that started this whole thing of like delay till it's ready. Miyamoto is the guy that has that quote attributed to him about a rush game is, a delayed game could be good, but a rush game is bad forever. That's him that said that. And Nintendo believes that. And they are so polished in their efforts. How many Nintendo games are unplayable? I'm talking first party. There's some games on Switch that see bugs and see issues, but first party from Nintendo. Mario, Zelda, Pikmin, Smash Bros, Animal Crossing. These games have some issues from time to time, but they consciously and devoutly ensure that their releases run like a charm. This isn't a situation of overloaded servers where so many people are playing and they're excited and everyone wants to get in. This is a situation where the game is just so jank. It's just so busted. It's just falling apart at the seams. Characters are walking in weird patterns. Things are glitching. Cities are popping in and out. Missions aren't working right. The game is crashing. This is not a situation of a little bug or a little glitch like sometimes we see patched out in Animal Crossing 1.6.1. It would never happen at Nintendo. I say that confidently because it hasn't. I've been playing Nintendo games my whole life and it doesn't happen. For all you want to say about Nintendo making kid games or baby games or being a publisher of the past, they have a seal of quality. And it may not be that the game is always great. No, they have some missteps. But the seal of quality ensures that when you play that game, it will play. Sometimes their options are really reduced. But I love that Nintendo knows that their game is going to run. And then you know, in turn, that their game is going to run. It's a great feeling. You buy it. It may not be your favorite. It may be missing some features from the last game. I mean, Animal Crossing New Horizons ain't perfect. It still doesn't have Brewster. There might be some issues with a level, with the final boss, or with the lore. They do something weird like waggle in Skyward Sword, right? They don't always hit the mark. Online is really, really shallow in Super Mario Party, but the games play right and work. The closest comparison for a Nintendo fan would be Joy-Con drift, and it made me think, should Nintendo have issued a stronger apology and refunds for the Joy-Con? Because many players had issues with the Joy-Con. Was it unplayable? Well, not entirely, but for a lot of people, the drift became that way. You couldn't control Mario. You couldn't make Zelda climb the proper peak. You could not navigate Animal Crossing and select the little items. It was nauseating and a nuisance, and some of you may be dealing with it right now on your Pro Controller, on your Joy-Con. Should Nintendo have offered a refund? Maybe they should have. I think when all is said and done, Cyberpunk 2077 will be a successful game. I mean, the sales figures are enormous already. The game is going to continue to do well. It'll drive a ton of consoles and sales when it officially hits PS5 and Xbox Series X with the next-gen version early next year. And I do think they will be able to polish this up to a point where it's playable and able to be sold again. I don't think this is the last hurrah for Cyberpunk, and I don't think it is going to be an abject failure. There will be a black mark on CD Projekt Red for better or worse, and honestly, they probably deserve it. I know that's harsh to say, and I know it's not fun when you put your blood, sweat, and tears and time into a title like this, but they should have made it better, or they should have delayed it. Nobody wants to see delays, and after a certain point, you need to make your money. You got to get your returns coming back in. But if it's this unplayable, they should have either said, it's going to be a next-gen only game, but that was an impossible decision because they have sold this as a PS4, Xbox One game for 8 years. They needed to delay again, or they needed to restructure and reschedule their ambition. I think the game just got too big for its britches, and they really needed to just slender down some of the title in order to make it work better. And then the next gen version, maybe it's expanded, maybe they offer DLC, I don't know, but they really screwed the pooch. I'm using a lot of old man terms because I'm 31, I just had a birthday. It's not gonna be a party for CD Projekt Red, but Nintendo nails it. Because imagine the outcry if Animal Crossing was this busted. If Breath of the Wild 2 comes out and is this jank, people would lose their mind. But that's why Nintendo has the nostalgia. That's why they have the devout fans. That's why there are channels like mine dedicated to this company. Because they may not always make the best choices. They might be frustrating and slow. Occasionally their games aren't all they're cracked up to be, but you know that they can make a game. And they can polish a title. And they can put out an effort that might not have the best graphics. It might not have the biggest city. It might not have the most cutting-edge gameplay mechanics, but their games work, and there's something to be said for that. Our rallying cry for Nintendo is that they always know how to make it feel good in your hands. They're about gameplay over everything. Do they have the most emotional characters? Those stories that we'll remember forever. Games that become movies. Not really, although Mario is getting made by Illumination. They do know how to make games. And they've always stuck to that. They are a game-making company, tried and true, through and through. And they'll continue to do that, pumping out Exclusive after exclusive after exclusive. They may put out a Switch Pro this year, 2021, and really wow us with better graphics, better tech, but I hope that that does not allow them to lose sight of their polish and their ability to put out a near perfected product. It's a beautiful thing to have that kind of confidence, that trust. And I don't think if they do release a Switch Pro, a 4K model, I don't think they'll sacrifice that because they have their pillars, for better or worse. Their principles sometimes bite them in the butt and cause us to be confused and frustrated. The directs are sometimes absent or entirely annoying, but their games work and run, and we'll never face a situation like this as a Nintendo Switch owner with Nintendo games. I don't know, man. Cyberpunk being pulled, it's legendary, and not in the good way. But this is an unprecedented decision by Sony, an unprecedented release. There are janky games. There are buggy games. Big open games like Skyrim and Fallout, they occasionally see massive glitches, but none on a scale where the companies and the platform holder feel that it is the absolute need to remove the game and offer refunds. That is bananas. I want you to take that in, as this is the biggest game release of the year and probably the decade. It's what everyone's been excited for, and you can't buy it on Sony's store. You can probably buy it still in stores, but who knows how far they go from here. If this continues, if they can't get it right, will it be pulled from some stores? I don't think so, but then again, I didn't think this was possible. We'll have to keep tabs on it because this is an industry-affecting type moment, and it makes you think about how grateful I am to be a Nintendo Switch fan. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Smash that like button. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay smart out there. Subscribe if you like these videos and want more of them. I'll see y'all soon. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Until next time, thanks again, everybody. SwitchForce out.